Hi, it's me again, Jack Wallen, and I am on a roll. I also have different glasses on. Why? Because these are stronger, and if I look up to my field monitor, I can see that I'm in focus. Isn't that great? Just great. Look, what I'm going to talk about right now, right in this here and now, this very moment, I understand is very personal. I don't mean it's personal to me. Well, it is personal to me. I guess what I'm trying to say is it could be unique to me. Well, not unique to me, but unique to people like me. It's personal to people like me, personal to artists like me. Do I need to keep going on this, or should I just open my mouth up and let it all spill out? That's what I'll do. Okay? All right. I believe very strongly that artists of all kinds, it doesn't matter what your craft is, whether it's writing, acting, painting, dancing, singing, playing the guitar, the ukulele, the harmonica, sculpture, or finger painting. I don't care what it is, but I believe that artists need to have something to say. And I don't mean just putting words to the page. I don't mean telling a story, telling a basic story with words or with sounds or with paint. I mean, and this is a little bit tricky because I already know what people are going to say in return. But you have to have something to say that is bigger than what you're saying. Now, personally, I like to deal with metaphor. Metaphor is very, very powerful. But let me try to illustrate it to you in a very obvious way that most people on this planet can relate to. Okay, maybe not most people on this planet, because never mind. That's getting into something that we don't need to talk about right now. You probably watched the Barbie movie. I watched the Barbie movie. I was very moved by the Barbie movie. I really, really enjoyed the Barbie movie. But beyond just enjoying the Barbie movie, I got the message loud and clear. Now, that movie could have been a simple bit of entertainment, and it was very, very entertaining. But you couldn't help but see, hear, or feel the message that Greta Gerwig was trying to put across. She really had something to say with that movie. Really, really had something to say with that movie. And it was a very important thing to say with that movie that we all needed to hear, especially we men. We needed to hear that. She had something to say. Now, I'm not saying that you have to beat your audience over the head with the message that you have, because that gets a bit tricky. That really turns audience members off, readers or watchers or listeners or whatever. You don't need to stand on top of a pulpit with your message. You can be very, very subtle with your message. Now, if you have read any of my books, you know that I tend to have a few different messages that I like to put across. One of acceptance, one of equality, and one that goes out of its way to show that humankind can often be the worst kind of monster. To me, those are very important messages. Those are important to me. And because they're important to me, I want to, sometimes very subtly, sometimes less than subtly, get them across in my words and my stories. Because I want the people that are reading my stories, whether they fall under one or two different categories. Either they feel the need to hear that, or they feel the need to feel included by that. An example is maybe a marginalized person. And I tend to I tend to work with marginalized people in my books and celebrate them. And my hope is twofold: that when marginalized people read my books, they feel heard, they feel seen, they feel important and valued. And the people who aren't marginalized that read my books, they either feel as if their points of view are validated, or they feel like they need to rethink their way of approaching existence or these marginalized people. Here's another really good example. You've probably watched Big Bang Theory. Maybe you watched one or two episodes, or maybe you've binged the entire series like every year, because it's a really, really good series. But one of the messages of that series is that nerds are not just human computational machines, that they are people. They are valuable people with depth and meaning and needs and humor and love and compassion. And in every single episode of that series, they touch on that message. Whether they make the entire episode about the message, or maybe just even a moment, one brief blip in the episode, they touch on it. And it's a wonderful thing, and that's one of the many reasons why that show was so successful, and at times even very touching. So when you are approaching your art, whether it's you're starting to write a new story or a brand new series, or you're about to put your brush to canvas, or your pick to guitar, or your toe to the dance floor, or whatever, ask yourself, what am I trying to say with this piece of art? And if you can't answer that question, step back before you make that first brushstroke, before you write that first word, before you turn that first pirouette, before you direct that first actor. Ask yourself again, what am I trying to say? And be able to answer that question. Because when you can answer that question, the art that you create will have more meaning, more depth, and will touch more people. And the story will simply be more effective and dimensional. Now, of course, I'm not saying that you have, for example, have to have a big political message with everything you write, because we all know what that could lead to in this environment. But you as a person have a message that you tend to take with you through life. Maybe, for example, I've been using "for example" a little bit too much. Maybe your parent. And the message that you carry through life is that children are important. It could be as simple as that. Or it could be far more complex than that. But when you're trying to decide what you are trying to say with your art, and you're struggling with that, step back even further and say, what do I try to say as a person? What is my message as a human being? And hopefully you'll have a message. Hopefully you'll be able to, without pause, say, oh, yeah, this is my message that I carry with me through life. One of my most important messages that I carry through life as a person is that kindness should be placed above almost everything else. Kindness is the thing that could solve many of humanity's problems. And I try very hard every day to work that message into my life, whether it's my interactions with other people or with animals or with myself or with my words. That's how important kindness is to me. So find out what your message is as a human being. And once you have that, see if that can translate to your art in some form or fashion. It doesn't have to be the exact same message. And your message within your art may change from project to project. Sometimes I'll approach a project, a book, and say, this is the message that I want to convey with this story. And that message may have nothing to do with me as a person. It may have nothing to do with any of the other books I've written, but it's important to this particular work. And every single book I write, I say something through it. And I personally believe that that is one of the main reasons why I can write so quickly. I write a full-length novel in 2 months. That doesn't mean that I publish every 2 months, because it takes about 2 months to edit and polish and blah, blah, blah. But the first draft takes me about 2 months. 1,000 to 1,500 words a day, and by the end of 2 months, you've got a full-length novel. Granted, it's not a fantasy novel, because those novels tend to be much, 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 much larger. But because I approach every piece of work with a message, it becomes quite easy to write. I just make sure that the characters and the story and the circumstances all kind of either push that message forward or push against that message if they're the antagonist. Food for thought. Anyway, that's it this time around. I just wanted to throw this out into the universe to hopefully see if it sticks. Maybe it'll help you have that aha moment, and your art will flourish. Or maybe you know an artist that is struggling right now, and you could have them watch this video and say, hey, maybe this will help. Because that's really all I want to do with these videos, is to help. Help you, help those you care about, help those artists that you care about, whoever. Anyway, thank you so very, very kindly for giving me a moment of your busy day. I hope that I've put a smile on your face, or maybe some warmth in your heart, or a thought in your head. Thank you. If you've enjoyed this, please subscribe. Otherwise, don't bother, or share it with somebody. Maybe they'll subscribe. Who knows? Anyway, I want you to have a most wonderful, wonderful day.